Hello everyone, Frank DeMore here again. This will be my last video for today, and it has to do with the setting up of the Antichrist. So let's go right to the word of the Lord. Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 through 18, the Lord says this, "And he causes all, both small and great, rich or poor, free or bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And that no man might buy or sell, say he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name." It is actually going to be a person, a man, not a nation. It's going to be literally a person who will rise from the revived Roman Empire. And so in verse 18 it says, here's the wisdom. "Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of," get this, "it's the number of a man." And the reason why I'm saying this is because today I got some email, a person saying that that the Antichrist was a nation, and that is not what it says in the scriptures. Don't know where they get this kind of information, but the Lord showed us that the man, this is also the evil shepherd that the Lord Jesus warned about. He said, "I came in my name and you did not receive me, but another will come and in his name you will receive." And he's talking about the evil shepherd or the Antichrist of the last days. So it's a number of a man, and his number is 666. So there's a number associated with this man who is also called the beast. Now, in order for this man to control the whole world's economy to the point where you can't buy anything or sell anything unless you had his identification, which we know from the Lord will be placed on the forehead or in the hand, we can see and look for situations that are going to be causing such a new system to be developed that would bring out one man's rule to be able to control the entire economy. Now, I've been warning over and over again. In my first chapter of my book, I talk about the decline of America and what's going to happen in America, how America will fade off from being a superpower because the United States is not mentioned in the scriptures as being the last days ruling power. We know that it isn't United States. We know for a fact that it's the entity that comes from the old Roman Empire, and we know who they are. We see them. And so one of the things that I wanted to show you is that because the dollar's been really strong, that's based on oil, buying based on the oil reserves, and the petrodollar, if you will, that's what they call it. But I've been showing people that that is going to die, and they're going to be moving away from the dollar, and I'm going to show you that what I've been warning you, based on what I know from the scriptures, is coming to pass. So let's take a look at the videos here.
Today's the BRICS summit has just wrapped up now in India, creating an alternative global lender and stepping away from the dollar as a reserve currency, all among the main objectives. In New Delhi is RT's Priya Sridhar.
The leaders from the 5 leading emerging economies in the world, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, are all here in New Delhi for the 4th annual BRICS summit. Russian President Dmitry Medvedev held a bilateral meeting with the Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. There have been a lot of things on the agenda. One of the main themes of this year's summit is how these growing economic powers are also starting to have more political clout on major international issues like Syria. And again, we saw Russia and China saying that they back a ceasefire in Syria. They want peace in Syria, but they don't expect President Assad to step down. They don't want him to step down, like many of the Western leaders have said. Let's take a listen to what the Russian president had to say.
One of the priorities for BRICS for the years to come should be the strengthening and key role of the UN Security Council in maintaining international peace and security, and also ensuring that the UN is not used as a cover for regime change and unilateral actions to resolve conflict situations.
And that was another thing that all of these 5 leaders talked about, reforming the United Nations. Another point that everyone was talking about was Iran and how sanctions are not going to work on Iran. These 5 countries are expected in the next 8 years to make up 50% of the global GDP. Even earlier this year, all of the BRICS countries were discussing potentially bailing out Europe from its financial crisis. One of the major things on the agenda was talking about a potential BRICS basket currency that could serve as an alternative to the American dollar or the euro. Today, all the 5 leaders signed an agreement to actually give out loans in their local currencies, which is another move that they're thinking about, moving away from the dollar and moving away from the euro. Another huge thing on the agenda here in Delhi was the idea of a joint BRICS bank that could serve as an alternative to the Western-led traditional financial institutions like the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank.
And just a bit earlier here on the programme on RT, I spoke to Dr. Sriram Chaulia, Vice Dean at the Jindal School of International Affairs. He believes institutions like the IMF and the World Bank have frankly outlived their usefulness.
The problem with vying for some kind of crumbs from the high table is that it still depends upon the mercy and the munificence of the former superpowers, who are now just great powers. The point is, in a multipolar world, I think it's better to launch your own initiatives and to show that you have the initiative to build your own institutions rather than to beg for a few more voting shares and a few more places in the managerial or the boards of the Bretton Woods institutions. Because the Bretton Woods institutions, I don't think, can be reformed from within. They have failed, so therefore it's better to either abolish it or to replace it with a new institution. So this is where I think the BRICS Development Bank comes in. This summit here in Delhi, they have really shown that they have the capability to forge ahead with new plans, new ideas, and new institutions in order to govern the planet with a new ideology and a completely new functional basis for organizing economic life on the planet.
So I hope you understand what he's saying. A new basis of developing a new system for the planet. Now, this is the setup. This is going to be the setup for the Antichrist, who's going to come on eventually and take over. Now, will there be a collapse in the economy? I believe that there will be. And the system that we see now, based on the petrodollar and the dominance of the dollar by the United States, will fade away. And then you're going to see the new system being brought in. They're talking about this new system coming. We're seeing the developments of a new system. Now, here's another report. Let me go to this one.
Heads of state from the 5 leading emerging economies, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, the BRICS nations, meet for their annual summit. The 5 make up 40% of the world's population, are expected to contribute almost half of all global GDP growth in the next 8 years, and have a rapidly growing influence in international affairs.
BRICS is basically an economic grouping, but nowadays it is widening its horizon. So BRICS would have to come to join the geopolitics, to change the geopolitics of the world.
The summit this year is expected to discuss a new joint bank between the 5.
The other BRICS countries are interested in getting Chinese investment in their infrastructures and in the development of their resources. So obviously a development bank will be a very, very useful vehicle for this kind of investment activities.
I think the leaders will raise the curtain to this BRICS-wide stock exchange. This has not happened before. So this is a new exchange, a new institution that we have created.
Political leaders believe that a BRICS bank could merge the growing economic powers between these countries into a centralized establishment. They also believe that it could serve as an alternative to Western-led financial institutions like the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank.
Certainly, the BRICS group hopes to be able to alter, to remove the overall predominance of the institution by the United States and the European Union countries.
The BRICS countries have been busy this year, not just in guarding against the impact of Europe's financial crisis. Moving away from the dollar as a reserve currency to a BRICS-driven one is also still firmly on the agenda.
It would become a very good currency, BRICS currency. It would be
giving a good push to, good challenge to dollar and euro. It is just breaking the monopoly of the West.
The summit will be hoping to advance further the economic interests of the BRICS group, further loosening reliance on Western-dominated global economic architecture. Priya Sridhar, RT, New Delhi, India. Heads of state from the 5 leading emerging...
All right, so there you have it. What we have are the developments of a brand new system coming on. And again, this new system will probably be based without the American dollar. Now, you have to understand this. While the BRICS was putting together this new system, and they've been doing this for some time now, and it's gaining steam, as obviously you can see. At the same time, we see the United States, who's in massive debt. They're continuing to do their what they normally do, is to spend millions and millions, billions of dollars on war. Now, we know that the United States they're on their way to now almost like $17 trillion in debt. They don't have enough money to pay off the debt. They're never going to pay off the debt. And at the same time, they're pushing for more wars and they're spending more money. And it's all it's going to do is the same thing that happened to Russia when they were fighting in Afghanistan. Is that the Afghanistan people did not give up and they actually broke the bank of Russia. And Russia, this is in part one of the reasons why Russia fell apart. And the United States is going the same direction, and there's no reining in on printing this fiat money, and it's not going to be worth anything in the near future. So if they keep putting out this fiat money and they keep putting out the war drums and sending out Americans all over the world, including now maybe going after Iran and maybe going after Syria, spending all of this money, they are going to be brought to their knees by the debt crisis because they're not going to have any money to pay off the debt. They don't even have the money at this point to pay off the interest on the debt. So we see that the system that the Lord was talking about, we see that there are many reasons why this new system or scenarios that are bringing about the new system, but we do know the direction that we're seeing right now presently is leading to Revelation chapter 13 verses 16, 17, and 18, where one man will eventually control the brand new economy that will be under his authority, and that's the man that Jesus called the false shepherd. He is the beast, the Antichrist, the son of perdition, the man of sin, whatever you want to call him. There's many names, but he is definitely coming, and we see this by the news results of what's going on. And this is why it's so important to keep your eyes on the news, because the Lord showed us the things that were going to happen before, and we're seeing those things taking place right now.